Now, I just want to preface this. The two flag pants that Blake has mentioned are both on my home fantasy league team. So there's a good chance that this completely falls on his face because I have not had the best luck this year. What is up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of the Signal Callers DFS Show. Today is September 19th. We're looking ahead at week 3 main slate today. Trey and Blake have both been grinding these games, so I'm interested to see what they got cooking. I'm Kevin. We got Blake and Trey here with me. What's going on, y'all?
What up? I'm usually not excited to play Classic because y'all know I'm not really good at it, as you might discern from my flag pants all like being duds last week, stone cold snowflakes. But this week I got some takes. I've been actually usually I'll get up Sunday morning and analyze the slate. I'm starting early this week, and I already got some lineups cooked up. So been watching all the podcasts, all my favorite people, and I'm ready. I'm going to attack this one. We'll see if I could have better luck than Showdown.
So I'm on 2 weeks of green. Let's see if we can make it 3 now. Right. Last week wasn't a huge win, but we're not losing. So that's good. That's the important part.
Yeah, Trey's still leading on the leaderboard with his $10,000 win, but Blake's making a little bit of ground up. I am going the wrong way, so hopefully, hopefully this week we can turn that around. Trey is usually our showdown dude, and he texted us today. He's like, I already got 50 lineups going. I'm like, what the heck? This dude's like,
when you win 10K, it's like, all right, I don't want to play contest unless it's like 20K top prize. Yeah. It's like, now you got to beat that. It's like all these 4K top prize, nah. Big money, baby. I want 100K. That just
doesn't do it for me anymore.
Yeah,
that doesn't scratch the
itch. Sweet, man. Let's just hop right into it. What about Sunday are we avoiding? What are the gross games that you're looking at? From a bird's eye view.
So I don't think there's any weather, right, for anything right now. So we'll be looking at that later. But just like some quick games scratching off. Jacksonville doesn't seem very interesting to me. Nico's maybe the only piece there that I like. Green Bay, Cleveland, not interested in that game at all. I'm really not interested in this duel of backup quarterbacks either. A lot of people are, but the Vikings Bengals, right? So I'm probably gonna fade that one, and then just this other one, the Redskins, the Commanders, and the Raiders. There, it's just not exciting to me. So I'm probably out on those as well.
Yeah, I'm actually am into the Cincy Minnesota matchup a little bit. I think there's some stains there that you could take. Obviously, Blake, you were on it last week. I was dead wrong on the cheap 4K quarterback and Mac Jones. Well, there's 3 of them on this slate. So, I think that makes things easy, especially when I jam in some studs.
Yeah.
I'm not really into the Vegas Commanders matchup this week either.
Yeah.
So, but all the other games there's like pieces of things I like. So,
gotcha.
And there may be like one-off guys, but definitely not looking for stacking in any of those that I mentioned.
Did you mention the Browns and Green Bay?
I did. I am not a fan there.
Yeah. I think that game's going to get real gross.
Yeah.
Actually, I mean, we'll talk about it, but I kind of like some of the cheap wide receiver volume on the Green Bay side.
Okay. Yeah.
Obviously, I'm never avoiding Fannin. So
I mean, Cleveland was going to shut down the run, right?
Yeah.
They just limited Derrick Henry to 30 yards.
It's just interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see how Flacco can handle that pass rush, not being mobile at all. So
I like playing the Packers defense. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, let's hop in. Let's get off of the negative side. What games stacks are you guys attacking? Like, are there any game environments that we are willing to overstack or willing to just go crazy on?
The 2 games I'm focusing on this week are, as funny as it is Pittsburgh, New England. I would have never imagined being in on this game at the beginning of the year. right? And of course the Dallas-Chicago game. I think that one's going to be the chalk game, but I'm probably just going to onslaught it. So
Yeah,
hopefully a little different there.
That Dallas Chicago is going to be the chalk matchup, but I still really love that game environment. I'll tell you though, aside from that matchup, the games that I find like I have the most stacks in, I love the Rams Philadelphia matchup.
You didn't get enough of that last week with Philly.
Well, we'll talk about it, but Saquon last year, both games against the Rams, he had over 40 fantasy points. So
yeah.
And I just love the Rams double stack this week. I've got interest in obviously Puka, who's killing it this year, and Devontae Adams. So interesting stuff you could do there. The other game that two games that one I love the Chargers double stack this week. Herbert's just been killing it. I think it's kind of interesting with Troy Franklin and Dobbins and pieces like that as a bring back. And then this is kind of gross, but I'm actually into this. I think the Indianapolis Colts and the Tennessee Titans matchup could be fun.
Yeah.
Good defenses. Cam Ward on one side. I just think Ayuman is just becoming a bigger and bigger piece of that offense every week. I think he's going to be the wide receiver 1 over Ridley really soon. And Daniel Jones has been really consistent. He's had over 24 fantasy points his first 2 weeks. And so obviously we love the JT and Warren pieces.
Yeah, I was listening to something. I can't remember exactly where all the content kind of blends in together once you start listening to it throughout the week. But I remember somebody was saying something about how Callahan has just kept the training wheels on Cam Ward so much this like so far through 2 games, and that's just kind of like not who he is. So at some point you expect him to like start really like going for it and like trying to push. And maybe it's not this week. Maybe it is a couple like after their bye, potentially in like week 6. But I mean, we were talking about it, especially in the last couple of weeks before the season started, how much I was targeting the Titans. So I do expect at some point for them to be like a had to have it game, environment for sure. So
he's just had a brutal schedule start,
for sure.
At Denver to start. That's a really tough place to play and really good defense. And then, he played the Rams last week, and that's not an easy defense with Jared Verse in your face all game, and I think they were missing some of the offensive line too, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think things are going to get easy, but this Colts defense, they deserve some respect.
Yeah.
Any other like macro level thoughts, I guess, before we get into like game by game positional flag playing stuff? Like,
I think there could be 2 potential shootouts just looking at it, and that would be the Carolina-Atlanta game. I think that can blow up just, in NFC South matchups. They could. And then you got the Jets and Tampa. I think that one could be interesting. We'll get into the individual players, why I think that's interesting later. But just from a macro positional standpoint too, I think the biggest choice here this week or 2 choices. Obviously, do you go 4K QB or not? And then are you going 3 running backs or 3 wide receivers? Because I think there's just value all over the slate in terms of running backs, and you got to hope to hit the breaker.
Yeah.
The slate breaker
JM was talking about this JM to Win was talking about this on his recent, I think it was their single entry video that they did, but most people aren't willing to go too high priced running backs. Like for instance, CMC and Bijan, or CMC, Bijan, and another higher price guy, and just trying to figure it out on the receiver side, because there are a lot of like lower price guys that you can target to kind of make up that difference. CMC might carry like 30% plus. CMC and Bijan might have 30% plus ownership, but most people aren't going to have them both. Or or something like that. So that's a way to get different, just in and of itself without like going too crazy off the board,
Yeah, you guys both kind of hit it. Like, what's interesting this week, especially when you got a lot of chalk at running back with like Ken Walker and Jordan Mason condensing, is like you said, Kevin, the combinatorial ownership. So like CMC individually might be high owned. Same thing for Saquon or JT, but the combination of them is pretty low owned, right? Even three, like you could even do CMC, Saquon, and JT in the flex or something like that and make that work. So if all three of those guys hit, it's like that's a floor you can't really compete with.
And just so far through 2 games, the running backs have been going crazy.
Yeah, and we've been talking about that. Like our approach is to pay up at running back, and so I think that Blake hit it. Like the decision is, where do you spend up, and where do you get that combinatorial ownership or combinatorial like rare ownership? Whether it's receiver, because you could jam in the studs there this week, and we'll talk about it. But I think there's some interesting plays there, and then or if it's at running back.
Let's dive in. Let's go position by position. Let's start at the top at quarterback. Like we mentioned, got a lot of interesting pieces this week. None of the big guns are on this slate. Allen, Mahomes, Lamar's not on this slate either. So, and then we got 2 4K guys in Mariota and Wentz with the 2 injuries in Washington and Minnesota. So a lot of different ways to go about this slate, I feel. What's the thing? What's in your gut? Like which way are you leaning? Are we going back to the well like last week where we went super low price with Mac Jones with these backup QBs, or are we going back up to the top of the salary board?
Yeah, I could kind of kick it off here, just high level. Like I always like to look at the QB position. Is like who's the guys or set of guys that like have the highest chance of like having the gotta have it score.
Yeah.
And so if I start at the top of the salary, like someone like Baker Mayfield, right, 6,600. Are the Jets really going to push him to pass to the point where he's like going to put up a 40, 30-point game? I don't know. Like they're not a good team, right?
So, might have been different with Fields, but now they got Tyrod Taylor.
Exactly. So it feels like a kind of ground and pound offensive attack from them, low neutral pass rate. So like those are guys I kind of like to, either thumbs down or maybe eliminate from my player pool because like you're paying so much, and it's like how likely is he going to be the gotta have it guy? So, I'll just tell you, like I'll start with mine, and then Blake, you can chime in. Like 3 guys I kind of plussed up here or boosted. Justin Herbert, I just think he's on a tear right now, and could go under owned when people just think of Denver. They think good defense. The other 2 guys I plussed up here are Bryce Young. Even though we don't really love that Atlanta Carolina game, I think Bryce tore it up to end the season against Atlanta last year. And then the other guy, I know Blake doesn't like the backup quarterback stuff, but Carson Wentz. Like, to me, Carson Wentz is a better quarterback at this stage of his career than McCarthy has been thus far in his career. Like he's had one good quarter of football. And so maybe Carson Wentz being under center kind of unlocks them getting back to their offense, feeding Jefferson the ball. Maybe even Hawkinson is revived, like a guy who can like have some pocket presence, is a veteran, right? And can actually like not panic and, kind of execute some things. And I think Cincy, they're going to be desperate for a win too, and sort of pushing them. So I do like Carson Wentz better than, like we talked about the 4K guys. I like Carson Wentz better than Marcus Mariota, I think, this week.
All right. So I think that's a pretty good segue into what I was going to say. It's like I usually approach the quarterback position a little differently. I'm looking at just kind of the best value. I don't like to spend up at quarterback a ton, so I'm always trying to spend it down. Like last week, I talked about Mac Jones being the best play, and then I went with Drake May just because I felt like it was a little safer floor, but I didn't lose much, right? I was he was like $1,200, but I was able to get everybody I wanted in. And if I would have played Mac Jones, I would have stacked him with Ricky Pearsall, and that would have worked out as well, anyways. But this week, I think if you do play a 4K guy, it's the opposite. I think you got to go Mariota, right? He's got a rushing floor. I think the Washington offense is better. They're both at home, Wentz and Mariota. But I just think that horizontal raid offense of the Commanders better suits him. He's got better talent just as a whole around him. Like the Vikings have nothing behind Justin Jefferson right now for pass catching. Hogginson just is terrible. Jalen Naylor is their wide receiver too. So that's kind of the first decision point. And to be honest, I don't like it. I think the Raiders are coming off a short game and going across country. So that's kind of why I do give the edge to Mariota there. But
who do you think he's carrying with him though, if he's optimal? McLaurin or Debo or
at 4K, you don't care, to be honest. Like, yeah,
so you would play him naked, or is just for the rushing upside against a Max Crosby Raiders angry Raiders team?
I think I would I approach it as I don't care if I stack anybody with him because he's so cheap. At 4K, I'm just looking at points, dollar per point. Okay, 4K, 5. That was the tight end. How many points would you be expecting from 12? 15, same thing with a receiver, 12, 15, you're happy, right? So you're just looking at that and say, okay, I just need 12, 15 points out of them. That's not where that's not the focal point of my offense here. And so that was the approach last week, Mac Jones. This week, I have some lineups with Marcus Mariota, but I don't know if I'm going to go there yet. But, I really, really, really like the Dallas-Chicago game. Chicago has the worst defense right now. Dallas is
Dallas rivals
terrible defense, and Caleb Williams is only 5,600. So he's not crazy. His stacking partners are super cheap, right? He's running the ball really well this year, actually, and they have no run game. So I really like him, and like I said, Drake May, he's still super cheap at 5,300. And that game could be a shootout because the Pittsburgh defense is just getting blown up right now with plays. It's pretty bad. So, between those two, I look and said, oh, it's only $300, right? Mm-hmm. So I'd rather go with the game I feel better about there. And then if you just say at $300 again, you can go up to Dak Prescott at 5,900. Dak can have 4 touchdowns easy. Problem is, I think Javonte is going to steal some in this game because the Bears just are terrible on defense. So that's why I think Caleb's kind of just the safer play. I see him just slinging the ball all over, and Dallas can get out to a good lead. So even if he doesn't play well, at 5,600, if he puts up 19 points like he did last week, he's not killing me.
I like it. I like the Caleb call a lot. Just to kind of clean up Mariota, he had a couple good games in cleanup of Jaden last year. I mean, he finished the year in week 18 with over 56 yards rushing and a touchdown, and also 2 passing touchdowns. So, I mean, he's definitely not a zero. He's not a stone cold zero. And in this offense,
I have some lineups with him.
Yeah, so I like that play a lot. To me, if I was going to onslaught a game, I would definitely onslaught the Chicago Dallas game and build through Caleb. Because I think if the game is gonna go, it's gonna be because of Caleb, right? It's kind of like Russ last week with Dallas. He turned it on, and they had Dak was forced to throw the ball and push the ball, and they obviously got crazy at the end. But I think if we are hoping for a situation like that, we're gonna need Caleb to do something, So
And I said it at the very start, or while we were doing best ball drafts, I said he's going to start slow this year. You're not drafting Caleb for the first 6 weeks. He's going to start slow. He's still learning this offense, right? He's still learning how to process. He's never really played under center. Mm-hmm. So he's got a lot to learn in this Ben Johnson offense, and I think this is I'm not going to call it a get right spot because I think he's still getting up there. He was just terrible last week, but I think this will be better than last week for sure.
Yeah, and I like decided between Caleb and Dak. Not only is Caleb $300 cheaper to Blake's point, but I give a slight edge to him just because I think he has slightly better rushing upside than Dak. And to your point,
and he's got
Kevin,
no run game to steal touchdowns.
Exactly. Swift could be a hit, but he's dealing with a hamstring, I think, and so I think Benum guy could get a few more snaps, and so if the rushing is going to come from somewhere, it's more likely to go on the Dallas side of running back and on the Chicago side from Caleb.
The only caveat I'll bring up is what does one of you guys have the solver pulled up?
Yeah.
What does ETR have as Caleb and Dak's projected ownership?
For large field, it's 13. Okay. For Caleb and 8.7 for Dak.
So I mean, it's not like super. Like I feel like you're not gonna like win it one way or the other. So it's not like one's 20 and the other is like 5. So
and I'm playing these single entry tournaments typically, or like the 3 entry tournaments. So what's been doing really well for me this year is not looking at the ownership percentage, but this week I find myself doing that a lot because there's actually some good chalk plays. So, but if I were playing MME, it's just another a couple names I'd throw out. I think of the other cheap quarterbacks, I think Tyrod Taylor can be interesting, or Tyrod. I think Baker just corrected everybody on that. Tyrod Taylor. So he's always been really good. He's just been unlucky, with health-wise. And I think actually Aaron Rodgers could be interesting for cheap. And then Mac Jones at $5K also. He's good. I don't think you really lose anything from Brock Purdy to him. And he's a little bit cheaper, so whatever you do lose, you can feel a little better about it.
Very spicy. Yeah, to put a bow on at QB for me, the majority of the quarterbacks in my lineups thus far are around these 5. Obviously, Caleb, Carson Wentz, Justin Herbert, Matthew Stafford, and Dak. Obviously, those are the most prevalent quarterbacks in sort of my lineup base thus far. So I like all those guys.
Nice. Okay, let's move on to running back. I feel like we're going to have a pretty lengthy discussion on this one just because I feel like there are so many interesting ways that you can go about this. We kind of already touched on it from the top down perspective, from like a bird's eye view. But where are you guys leaning running back as of now?
Yeah, so just again to kind of like paint the picture, prior to this Zach Charbonnet news, Christian McCaffrey was the highest owned.
Mm-hmm.
And now Kenneth Walker in small field and Kenneth Walker's 40% owned and projected, and Jordan Mason is 35. So right away, like, not saying it's bad chalk because those guys have favorable matchups, but an easy way to get leverage on the field is to go away from those guys.
Right.
McCaffrey's still projected pretty high at 26, but maybe in smaller fields he gets squeezed because people are trying to get to those dudes. I do have a take on the Jordan Mason chalk. He's not a guy that like catches passes per se. And so I think like you're going to need the touchdowns with him.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't get the touchdowns and he goes for 80 yards and you're looking at like a 12-point outing, that's bad chalk.
Yeah.
And so if he doesn't get the touchdowns, then the touchdowns are coming in the passing game, which makes this is why I'm into Wentz, because I think Wentz naturally is leverage on the Jordan Mason chalk.
Yeah,
right.
Sure.
I think if they don't come through Jordan Mason, they're going to come through the passing game, and with Jefferson and the passing game.
It just doesn't feel like doesn't feel like Mason is one of those where you like is going to kill you with a had to have a score. Like, is he going to go out there and score 30? I don't know.
Probably not.
Maybe he
and if he does, well, you got 40% of the field that also have it. So it's like, what do you win when you win, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I think there's 3 best plays, like take price out of it. Best plays by far. And it's McCaffrey, JT, and Bijan. I think those three guys are A+.
I have a name to throw in that hat.
Yeah.
But I like those three.
I hear you. And if you're going to say Barkley, I think he's an A play, not an A+ play, right? He's potentially an A play. And same with Kenneth Walker right there, A play. Where it gets interesting for me too, though, is Javonte is at 6,100, and he's been like one of the better running backs in the league, believe it or not. He's breaking tackles, and the Dallas line's still pretty good. So him at 6,100, I think is also an A play, and it gives you a lot of leverage off the CD chalk.
Yeah,
his price is increasing. It still doesn't feel bad.
Yeah, no, 6,100. That's something I can swallow. And Miles Sanders hasn't done anything to take any play away from him, and Jaden Blue's still sitting on the sideline there. So I really like him. There's just too many running back plays for me right now. So the hard thing is,
I feel like I'm going to be wanting to jam 3 in and just making it work around it.
Yeah. I've experimented with that, and you can fit a lot of stuff, especially if there's guys you like at the sort of the cheaper end of the wide receiver spectrum.
Right.
You can pull off some lineups with 3 of those guys.
Exactly. And so this is what would make me go Mario to 4K, right?
Yeah.
And potentially even naked, because I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, JT can go off for 30, easy. McCaffrey can go off for 30, easy. Bijan could have a career game here, right? And go up for 40. So I see those 3 guys, I'm like, man, those are some high price tags, and I can get 15, 18 points out of a quarterback with 4K.
And it's not like you even have to go as low as Wentz or Mariota, because 5,600, Caleb Williams is right there, right? That's the difference between a $3,500 defense and a $2,300 defense.
And the edge here is that you're putting guys into your lineup that you're not going to say that nobody's guaranteed to go for 30, 35 points, but these guys have done it relatively recently, and they can do it. So if you get 2 of these guys who have 35 points, you're already skyrocketing up the board, especially on these dudes, especially on guys who aren't putting 2 or 3 of these guys into their lineup, right? So, I'm
going to find it really hard to get up to the CMC this week. I think JT can put up just as many points as him, as 1,000 less, and Bijan to CMC. Yeah. I'm just going to save $300 on that one. So it's a really hard choice for me this week with this. I want to try to get 2, but I don't think I really can. To be honest,
I like Javonte Williams. I do like Jaylen Warren as well.
Jaylen Warren's really interesting, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because I do think it could be one of those shootout games, and he had one of the coolest highlights last week. But it's still Arthur Smith, and that scares me.
I wonder how much he is going under the radar, just because obviously he had that great highlight, but that game was kind of a stinker last week. They were in the game that you had to have, or they were in the top game from week 1, but he's looked really good both of his 2 weeks, and he's outside of the studs, I feel like he's a pretty decent play, especially at 5,500. So
but the problem is, if you're just trying to get a little unique, right? If you, are you going to take him over Jordan Mason for 100? He's $100 more than Jordan Mason. I think I'd take Jordan Mason.
Who's that? I'd rather fade the chalk, and I'd rather come in at 10% versus 30% Jordan Mason.
Okay, but you're looking at this from a large field tournament perspective, right?
I guess. I'd still
just
play
overall?
this in I think I'd still play it in 1,000 person field too. Because from what I've noticed is, so 1,000 person field isn't if you're talking about the big spy, right? I think it was 4,000 last week, Trey, right? The 100K up top.
I'd have to check, because
I think it was in the 4,000s. So it's not the 800,000 milli or whatever it is, but it's still, you still got to be unique, and you don't have to be perfectly unique. You don't have to hit every nut play like you do in the milli, but you still have to have some lower owned pieces. And I feel like that's some leverage off of Mason because they're right similar in price, but you're saving 20 points in ownership percentage. I feel like that's an easy play in my opinion. And if if Jordan Mason if he gives you 30 points and he's had to have a score, then I'll just eat that on this week, unfortunately.
The big spy this week is only 1,600. 25K up top.
That's $100 entry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, I mean,
unless there's a bigger one that's already filled, but I'm seeing 1,600.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so and that's kind of my problem with this week, though, right? You're looking at Jalen Warren for 5,500, or you could just go down to Ramondre Stevenson, same game, right? Probably same workload, I'd say, the way it's looking. Maybe even a better rushing workload. And he's cheaper. Like, there's just so many options on this. I don't know how to play this, because I think
the idea would be though, if somebody's going Warren, they're likely playing him as a running back too, right? Because they're saving money. So if you I guess I just prefer Warren. So I think that if you're pairing him with two of the other higher price guys, I feel like you're already different. Not many people are probably putting more in the flex. I would think.
Sure. Yeah, so, I don't understand this Ramondre pricing, to be honest. Like, who's taking snaps from him?
Trevion Henderson, their second round pick, maybe.
He's on
maybe at some point. At some point, our best ball bags hope at some point, right?
Yeah. So at the top, like we talk about trying to get two of these guys for that combinatorial ownership. Like, I've been kind of leaning into because you got CMC at 8,200, Bijan at 79, Saquon at 78, and Jonathan Taylor at 72. Naturally, I go towards the two in the middle there because I do think Tennessee's a pretty good defense. I still love JT this week, but like I said, Saquon last year against the Rams was just a cheat code, man. He had 40. He had in the first game against the Rams, he had where is it? He had 49.2 points, and then the second game against the Rams, he had 42.2 points
in the playoffs. Yeah.
So I don't know what it is about the Rams, but that sticks out to me. And then Bijan has just been all world this year, and he's playing Carolina. So, I like those two. That's not to say I don't like McCaffrey and JT, but if I had to choose two out of those four, I've been kind of leaning into Bijan and Saquon.
Just one thing about JT. I mean, obviously his role and everything is great. That's the easy way to look at it. But also Tavondre Sweat of the Tennessee Titans is out. Like, that's their huge run stopping tackle. So I think he makes a big difference. I don't think he played last week either, and I think there was some good running against him.
I got a couple more names because we've only talked about the top. So just a couple of quick hitters. At some point, Chase Brown's got to hit, right? Just food for thought.
No.
I mean, food for thought there. 7% ownership. I'd rather play him over, I think, a couple of people. Other guys I boosted. Obviously, we talked about Javonte Williams. Mm-hmm. This, for me, feels like a Breece Hall game again. At 6% ownership against Tampa. I really like that play. I'm not going away from Etienne. He still hasn't gotten over 6K. 5,900, 6% ownership. Two other guys for you. DeAndre Swift, we mentioned him a little bit earlier in that matchup we all like. He's interesting at 7% ownership. And then...
Is he playing or is he questionable?
He's questionable.
Okay.
But I think it's leaning towards playing.
Gotcha.
You hit on Jalen Warren, Kevin. We talked about getting leverage off these chalk guys. Jordan Mason's 5,400. Guess who's $100 more expensive, guys?
Jalen
Bill
Warren.
Krosky Merritt.
Yeah.
Okay. Jordan Mason, 35% ownership. Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, 0.74% ownership.
So after last week's showing.
Easy. Well, Austin Eckler wasn't hurt last week either.
I know.
Easy way.
Hey, relax, buddy. Relax. I'm on your side.
easy way, right? Like 35% to sub 1%. Easy. Yeah. We just talked about it. If Jordan Mason goes, 20 carries for 80 yards and doesn't get in the end zone, you're feeling good about Ja'Cory Krosky or Jalen Warren or any guys in that range, right? So
Do you have any thoughts on like a guy like Kamara?
I don't think he's a bad play, but I don't think he's a great play.
Yeah,
it's just for his price. Like there's others I'd rather.
Yeah, I mean I'm kind of like.
I mean, Javonte's $200 cheaper than him.
Exactly. Yeah,
and they're basically the same ownership. Actually, I think Javonte's. They're basically the same.
Javonte in small fields looking at right about 16%, and Kamara's at 8%, so half of it.
Okay, yeah.
But so yeah, he's a leverage off Javonte if you want to go that route. So is Brees. I mean, that range is interesting. Etienne, Brees, Javonte. I'm not really into Chuba this week. Kamara, Kyren could fall in the end zone. So yeah, and eventually Genty, right? Like I think Genty's going to be fine, but at some point he's going to break out, right?
Genty is the biggest litmus test of like who watches the games and who just looks at the box scores, because he looked so explosive on some of those matchups, on like some of those touches that he had on Monday night, but if it didn't amount to anything. And
same thing with Hampton.
Yeah, and I think that they pulled him out towards the end of the game just because there wasn't any real point, because they weren't really fighting to win the game, even though the Chargers almost chargered and threw the ball back to them a couple times. So
yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I think that at some point he's going to have one of those games where you're going to be like, oh yeah, I mean, come on, we should have seen this coming.
Yeah, real quick on we talked about Jordan Mason leverage. The guys on either side over him, Ja'Cory Crosskey-Merritt and Travion Henderson, both under 1% ownership compared to his 35. We go to the Kenneth Walker chalk at 40%. The guy above him is, where Kenneth Walker go?
The only thing about Ken Walker is we have seen him have a had-to-have-it score before. Like, if he comes out and scores 35, I wouldn't be surprised. Although
and I'm expecting the Saints on the road, right? And Seattle has a good defense. I'm expecting them to need to run this out. Seattle's just gonna run the ball out.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a good game.
So the guy on the other ends of Kenneth Walker at 40%, J.K. Dobbins, 1.12%, $100 cheaper. Travis Etienne, $100 more expensive, 6%. So easy way to get leverage off of this chalk if that's the direction you want to go or get different. But if you do play these guys, you're going to want to try to get different at other spots, obviously. Right. So,
yeah.
Okay. You got anything else?
Yeah, we got a couple more, and then we'll probably all go around and give a flag plant. I don't think we gave flag plant for the quarterback, but I think I'm pretty clear on Caleb. So I do want to say I hate the Chase Brown pick that you had there. I would.
He wasn't a pick. I'm just saying. I would say at some point he's going to hit.
Okay, yeah, I would take him out of this. To be honest, at 6,900, I think the Minnesota defense is legit, right? Brian Flores is a hell of a coach, so I would take him out. Brees, I did want to touch on Brees. I think this could be a really good Brees week. Tampa Bay is missing a lot, and I think he's starting to pull ahead a little bit of that triple backfield.
And all that Braylon Allen hype is dead. Like he was not involved last week at all. So,
and then just kind of, I don't mind the JCM pick, especially because I think they may be running some clock a good bit too. But Tony Pollard has a really, really, really strong role right now as well, and he's only 5,700. So, you're talking about getting off of Ken Walker. I would go him way over J.K. Dobbins, right, for the same price. And I do like the Ramondre pick a lot, actually. I think that's the Steelers got gashed by Fields and Brees. And, Ramondre looked good last week, and he looks like he's got a good role. So I think that's all this to say is I have no clue what I'm doing at running back.
Should we circle back and do QB flag plants and then come back and do running back flag plants?
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah. So my QB flag plant, Caleb, I think it's going to be pretty simple. I'm expecting at least 3 touchdown performance here.
I love it. He's in most of my lineups. I would have chose him if you hadn't. I'm between 2 guys. Kevin, you go, and I'll see if it's one of those guys.
Yeah, I'm on the Caleb Williams bandwagon this week as well. So obviously I won't go that route since that would be boring. I'm gonna go Mariota. I think that.
I sold you on it.
Yeah, you did actually. And I mean, we've seen him do it in the past last year in some spot starts, and it's just you can do a lot with that 4K price tag. I mean, I'm a big fan of the high price running backs this week, so I'm probably going to be leaning that route. If and I don't want to take this guy from you if you're going to talk about him, so we can maybe cut this out. But Wentz, I mean, Minnesota has just frustrated me this past couple the first 2 weeks of the season, and I know that their JJ McCarthy had a lot to do with that. But I also have Hawkinson on my main fantasy team, and it's been a really hard watch. So I just want to get as far away from Minnesota as I possibly can, and yeah. So I think I'm going to go with Mariota, and if I would play it, I would probably play him skinny. I don't know that I would stack him with anybody unless I stacked him with Bill. In some way, shape, or form, and a weird combination that not a lot of people are going to do.
Yeah. So that leaves me with three guys I wanted to mention, and I was hoping you said one of them, but it was Herbert, Stafford, and Wentz. I'm going to go Matthew Stafford here. 1.27%, and this is mainly tied to I just love Devontae Adams and Puka.
Yeah.
And I think the Eagles are going to force them to throw. And so I love Saquon this week. Saquon, we're going to get to running back, but Saquon's probably going to be my flag plant. But yeah, it was tough to choose between Herbert and Stafford, but I'm going to go Stafford, little cheaper, 1.27% ownership, and it gives me access to that double stack with a Saquon bring back. So
yeah,
I'll go Stafford here.
Nice. Let's move on to running back. We'll do running back flag plants, and then move on to wide receivers.
You want me to go first again? I would say Ken Walker probably. He's good chalk.
Going with the chalk.
There is good chalk. Well, I don't want to say that, but I'm not gonna flag plant him just because he's so chalky, so easy. Everybody knows he's a good play.
I thought the definition of a flag plant is you can't choose a chalky guy.
Well, that's what I'm not choosing him, right? I'm about to get another one. Yeah. I think it's just Bijan. I think he could have a career game. Now I know it's 20% owned, right? But I'm trying to put him in every lineup I build.
Now, I just want to preface this. The two flag plants that Blake has mentioned are both on my home fantasy league team. So there's a good chance that this completely falls on his face because I have not had the best luck this year. So, yeah, but obviously I'm loving it. Okay, let me go first. Let me go next, and then we'll let Trey finish it up. I think I'm going to go. Obviously, I love all these top guys. I'm going to try to jam as many 3 elite running back lineups as I can through this week. But I'm going to flag plant Jaylen Warren. And I use 1 week seasons optimizer, and they've got him at 10.18% owned, behind the super high end price guys and the chalky Ken Walker. I feel like he has the best value in the GPP. So yeah, and we've already kind of touched on how this game environment is kind of sneaky good, and I want to have a piece of it. So, and he's looked great this year. So I'm gonna keep hope that the train keeps going.
Yeah, I love that pick. ETR's got him at 9.5. Just really safe, and obviously he's got some ceiling with the passing game.
Yeah,
Caleb Johnson might be phased out after what he did last week with that kick return.
He's a dynasty only play.
So I wouldn't even touch him there.
Yeah. So he's definitely not returning kicks. And if
I mean, but the thing is he's 230, runs a 4.5. Why was he returning kicks anyway? I don't know, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that pick. The Warren pick. He's in a couple of my lineups. Yeah. I mean, I kind of spoiled it, but Saquon's my guy this week for sure. I mean, I can't ignore what he did last year. 11%, so he actually fits the criteria of a flag plant, Blake. The other guys, though, Blake was on him too. Breece Hall. Is like if you're going to get away from the 2 or 3 elite guys, he's a guy like most people are going to try to pair an elite with like a Ken Walker or an elite with a Jordan Mason. Like if I get away from the 2 elites, I'll go elite with like a Breece Hall. I think it's favorable game environment for him. We talked about it. Like the Braylon, I've never seen hype from best ball season into regular season die so fast on a guy than with Braylon Allen. He was just not involved last week, and we'll see if our boy Aaron Glenn decides to continue that. But this feels like it could be a monster Breece game at 6% ownership. So
love it. Great. Let's move on to receivers. So we have kind of touched on how we love these high price running backs, high price receivers. I mean, a few of them got there last week. Obviously, with Chase, Neighbors was 2 guys that you kind of had to have. What are our thoughts? I mean, we kind of have already kind of touched on it since we're leaning towards these high price receivers. So we're probably going to be searching for value in the mid to low priced receivers here. But are any of these guys at the top kind of standing out to you?
Yeah. So this is always the position that's obviously I have the most players in my player pool. So maybe we break it down by like the top end guys, mid tier salary, and then cheap wide receiver volume. At the top here, obviously, we're into the Chicago Dallas game. So if you're going with the Caleb Sacks, obviously CD is probably going to be the most popular bring back. He's just such a safe floor, explosive ceiling. You guys know I love Puka, and flag plant warning there. But again, sticking with this combinatorial ownership theme we're talking about this week, if you love condensing around the 2 or 3 elite running backs, I think what's really interesting this week is flipping that and doing it with the receivers, paying up with Chase and like a Jefferson. Like you guys, Jefferson, LSU guy, big ego, right? Like he's had 2 kind of not great games to start the year. Yeah. And so he's going to want to get his numbers. And I just think, again, Carson Wentz is a better passer, NFL passer right now than JJ McCarthy. And so like Cincinnati's defense isn't great. I really love Justin Jefferson this week. I think, in fact, you guys will love this. Chase and Jefferson, like in the same lineup, feels nice.
Feels like 2019.
Yeah. So another guy in this top tier that I think is gaining some steam is Nico Collins at 7,300, 4% owned. I'm not really into like the Mike Evans, Ladd McConkey until they show it to me. Like obviously those guys can always hit, but Mike Evans, I'm not really into this week. And JSN's going to be chalk. So, and I don't know about this wrist injury on Brian Thomas, but yeah, I love Chase and Jefferson at the top end. Obviously CD, but I think he's going to come in higher.
If Egbuka doesn't play, does that change your opinion on Evans?
Oh, for sure, because I love Breece, and I think if Breece has a monster game, the piece on the Tampa side that's likely going to be the counter to that would be.
Let me double check and see what the latest on Egbuka is while Blake touches on the top end.
Yeah, I'm out on Chase and Jefferson this week. I don't, like I said, it's more
like you're clicking them out of your player pool, the 2 best receivers in the league.
I'm not building multiple lineups, right? I'm building like 2 lineups, maybe 3 lineups, right? And yeah, I'm not putting them in there because if I'm paying $8,100, I'd much rather CMC, who is not tied to freaking Jake Browning, right? Who Jake Browning has, look, he just put up a 40-point week with Chase, right?
I'm about to say.
Yeah, right. Like they've had good games, but
Browning also did throw 3 picks.
He did. And like I said, the Vikings defense is good. Yeah. And JJ, one of my favorite defenses this week is the Bengals, right? Carson Wentz is just.
By the way, Egbuka did practice today after missing the last 2 days. So
he's probably going to play then.
Yeah.
You said one of your favorite defenses this week is the Bengals?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't think I think the Vikings are in rough shape right now with the talent until Addison gets back for sure. I don't think quarterback. I don't think Wentz is an upgrade. I'm out on that. So, and like I said, so for the same
I think
price
he's an
as
upgrade
JJ,
over JJ at like 2 games into his career. I mean, will they win? Maybe, probably not. I don't know, but
yeah.
It's just a bet I would like to make.
I could see them being able to move the
for
ball.
200,
Where last game they couldn't even sustain drives. So like,
I'd much rather JSN at $1,000 cheaper. I'd much rather Puka at $200 more. Like, if I'm paying up for receiver, it's Puka or CD this week.
If you're paying the 8,100 for CMC, that's into 30% ownership. If you're paying the 8,100 on Chase this week, that's sub 8% ownership. So I know you tend to like to ignore ownership, but when I'm making these decisions,
I'm playing smaller tournaments. I'm not playing. I'm not trying to win the milli. I'll throw my lineup.
I don't even look at large percentage ownership. I always base all of my lineups off of the small field percentage. But still, I mean, I don't know. I think CMC, love him. Think he's one of the best price adjusted plays this week, but he's got this lingering calf thing. And like I said, Chase just went for 40 with Browning. So
it was also against the Jags.
I mean, for what it's worth, he did have a 30 plus point game in 2023 with Browning at the end of the year. Not a ton else to write home about, but he does have, there is a track record of, scoring had to have it points.
And we talk about that with best ball.
I'm not saying it can't happen, right? Yeah. I'm just looking at the highest probabilities here, right? And I'm team play the best plays. And so, like I said, when I look at Chase for 8,100, or I'm looking at CD against Chicago for 8,000, right? That's an easy pick for me. Or choosing CMC or, Bijan. Those are all easy picks for me against Jamar this week. So that's why I'm not going to play him. And I'm only doing like 2 lineups, right? So if I was doing 150 entry, then he'd get sprinkled in there. I wouldn't be removing him from the player pool.
Yeah. We talk about it at best ball, like these guys, and the example we're talking about is 2 guys who are these dudes, but these dudes could go for 50. And when that happens, it doesn't matter what else you have in your lineup. Like, you need those dudes. And so this is where ownership is the tiebreaker for me, because McCaffrey could do it. We've seen it. Chase could do it. We've seen it. But if I'm spending 8,100, I want to do it into 7% ownership, not 30 plus. But again, that's why I said, like, I love these combinatorial ownership combos, because that rings true at receiver just as it does at running back.
Let's move on to the mid price. Let's call it like 6K down to like what, 4,800, maybe 4,500.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's low.
Yeah.
Let's go that low.
Let's do 6K to 5K then.
Yeah, or like I'd consider JSN mid tier, right? At 6,500, for example.
Okay. I like to do 45 to 65. Okay. I mean, in fact, every rule, I have a rule in the optimizer that's like,
that, so yeah.
All right.
There's actually some guys I want to talk about lower, but
sure.
Yeah, actually, go ahead, Blake.
I think JSN's a smash pick this week. He's the entire passing game for Seattle, and he's really freaking good too. I think the Saints are going to get beat up this week. Especially traveling all the way cross country. It's just, does Ken Walker steal all the touchdowns from him? So I really like him this week. Rome is the easiest play on the slate. He should be 100% owned, if you ask me. Right? No matter.
So Blake is clearly here just to highlight the chalk for you guys.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of hate this week, right? But yeah, so it's, I think Juwan Jennings is hurt. He might not play, so that can make Ricky Pearsall pretty interesting if you're looking at that. But, I think what I'm looking for here is all the guys who get double-digit targets, right? Pretty easily. So Drake London, I think Tet can get double-digit targets this week. Chris Olave hasn't had less than 12 targets, I think, so far. So he's a good play at 5,200 to me. He hasn't gotten there with points yet, but
He will.
Yeah, he could. So, like, if you're looking to play those 3 high-end running backs, like Chris Olave is a smash.
Oh, yeah.
Rome's a smash.
Little spoiler alert there for me, but
yeah. So
yeah, I love Olave. I think that he's my favorite in this range. I mean, obviously you got the guys like Rome and those guys, but for me, Olave 7% ownership. he's in that game environment that we keep going back to in like with Ken Walker and JSN. I think that, Kellen Moore's still calling the most plays in the league. They're still passing an insane amount. He's still getting an insane amount of targets. He's going to score a touchdown at some point. Should have had one last week. So I think people are going to stop going to him because he hasn't put up one of those 20 plus scores so far this season, and it looks like that they're in a really bad game environment. But I do feel like they could push it, and he's still getting peppered with targets.
Yeah, you guys know this is when I play Classic. I have a rule in the optimizer every week that I want to play one receiver between a price of 4,500 and 6,500. So these, to me, typically makes or breaks your lineup in the slate. I think there's always going to be at least one.
At least one, okay.
Mm-hmm. Between that price range. And so there are at least 4 guys, since you got, there's 6, but you guys touched on a couple of them already. There's 4 guys in this range that I just really love this week. The first one's Devontae Adams. Self-explanatory, right? 11% ownership. Again, because I love this game environment.
Super concentrated.
Yeah, super concentrated. I mean, it's just Puka and him. There's nothing else in the passing game. So love that. A guy that's we all love, that's just not being talked about this week. Ted McMillan.
Mm-hmm.
I just talked to him.
5,900, 5% ownership. That's a guy that's sticking out to me.
Yeah.
We called out the Rome chalk. He's 30%. His teammate's half of that, DJ Moore. I know he hasn't had the spike week yet, but DJ Moore is going to go for 30 at some point this season. This happened to everybody in that CD in the Dallas Giants game. Everyone thought, CD was the guy you had to have, and and it ended up being Wan'Dale Robinson and some of these other guys, right? So that's easy leverage within the same environment on the team. You talked about Olave. The other guy that Rashid Shaheed is just as compelling, 0.54% there. The other guy, though, I love in this range is 2. Quentin Johnston, 3.7%. People think this clip he's on is just unsustainable, but I've been missing out on it, and I kind of want to I want to be on that bandwagon. He is catching a touchdown every game. He's catching a deep bomb every game. And he's had through 2 weeks, he's had 14 targets. So again, another guy that's just getting flat out ignored.
Yeah.
Connected to a potential MVP candidate in Justin Herbert thus far. The other guy here is Michael Pittman. I talked about, I think this Indianapolis Tennessee game could be fun. Everybody's in on JT. Quietly, Michael Pittman, has 13 targets through 2 games, and he's emerged. He's not hurt. He was dealing with injuries all last year, but he's clearly the wide receiver 1 there.
Mm-hmm.
So those are my 5 guys. I didn't say Keenan Allen because he's chalk, but yeah, Rashid Shaheed, Michael Pittman, DJ Moore, Quentin Johnston, and Tet.
I'm actually off the Keenan Allen this week. I don't see him as, I'm going to say great chalk. He might be good, but it's the lower end of barely good, if you're asking me. He's been killing it, but I think the Denver defense is just something special. I think Ladd's going to come on, and it's going to hurt Keenan.
One guy that I want to touch on, there's not a ton under 4,500 that is standing out, but one guy I'll touch on is Io Manor.
We're already on that low tier? You didn't do your mid tier.
I mentioned Olave.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah.
We don't got to keep saying the same names. Obviously, all those names are. I love those guys. Moving down to, like I said, sub 45. Is there anybody but Io Manor that is standing out to you guys? That
there's a lot of people at that 45 number, right? Yeah. So I think that's something to clarify here. I think we got Mooney at 45. Here, let me sort by salary so I can actually see this. Rashid at 46, Booty at 46, Mooney at 45. I think those are all good plays. And then the only one sub that I would probably play, if you're getting crazy in the MMEs, I think Troy Franklin. I'm sorry, not Troy Franklin. Calvin Austin is a good one. But just overall, I think Troy Franklin's like a good play, not just MMEs. If you're having to go down that far.
Yeah, he's got 15 targets through 2 weeks.
A noticeable amount of plays more. Him. Yeah, a noticeable amount of plays more, and he cashed in. So I think that's earning Sean's trust.
Yeah, Troy Franklin was a guy I was going to mention. It's hard to predict what Sean Payton and this carousel of weapons he does, but Troy Franklin seems to be emerging as like a go-to there. Mm-hmm. You just don't know when it's going to hit, but he's going to give you spike weeks. I think that this position comes like because if you're going to jam in these high-priced running backs or receivers, this slate comes down to choosing between these three guys to me: Alec Ayumanor, Dontavian Wicks, and Hunter Renfrow. And I guess you could lump Troy Franklin into that. I'm not touching anything below 3,700. I don't think.
No.
And though, like Hunter Renfrow until Coker's back, I mean, he went off for 24 fantasy points last week,
2 touchdowns,
and 2 tutties. Alec Ayumanor, we've talked about him. We love him. I love him in best ball. I love him in all these formats. Yeah. I think he's just becoming more and more like an integral part of that offense. I think he is the wide receiver 1 in Tennessee.
Yeah.
And then Dontavian Wicks. So with Jaden Reed out, like somebody in Green Bay could smash. This is the dude who's never had a problem getting open. He was the Packers' leading receiver last year. So I think it comes down to those 3 guys in terms of cheap wide receiver volume.
Was he really?
Unless he literally was. He had the most catches for the Packers. Yeah.
What and so, offense.
No Kraft and no Reed.
Right.
Dobbs.
Is Kraft confirmed?
I think it's trending. Kraft is not confirmed.
I think they had news this morning. I think they had news that he's
he
playing.
was limited. I think it's gonna be a game time decision. Is what
I saw.
think ETR like removed him.
Oh, really? Okay.
Actually, yeah. I don't even think he's in the players. They're pretty confident he's out.
Yeah. So those are the 3 guys. If you get real cheap wide receiver volume, I think it comes down to those 3, unless you can spend up and get to Troy Franklin or Rashid, Shaheed. But like, it could come down to those 3 in terms of like one of those guys have got to hit to make everything else work.
Let's go ahead and do flag plans. I'm going to jump in and I'm going to go first here. I don't think I'm going to take any of y'all guys, but I think I'm going to have one of either Olave or Shaheed on every lineup. And I'm going to flag plant both of them basically. But I would probably lean Olave. I know, right? Yeah. But I think if I'm going to pick one, I'd take Olave, but I'm with the salary restrictions because we're trying to jam running backs in. I'd probably lean Shaheed too. I don't think that's a bad play either. But Olave, he's got to hit the end zone this year. And when he does, it's going to be a 25+ game potentially. So at that ownership, at that price, he's still way too underpriced in my opinion. Coming in at what, 5,200? That's insane. So yeah, Olave is y'all are gonna have to like stop tuning into the show at some point because we're just gonna keep jamming these Saints guys until they make it not a good idea to like.
We're gonna keep doing it. Yeah.
So
like, I mean, he hasn't really paid off yet, so maybe the joke's on us.
the volume's there, the play calling's there, the pace is there, and Rattler's getting better every week.
The only thing that's missing is the QB play.
That missed touchdown.
Missed touchdown.
Rattler's been
balling, bro.
Come on here and disparage.
Kick him out.
Rattler.
Boot him.
Yeah,
get him off the show.
He's been. Yeah. Last week should have been Olave's week. I'll say that.
I will say that touchdown that he missed was, I'd say, a little bit on both of them, but the pass was behind him. So. Yeah, that one was a tough one to see. Could have had my week looking a lot nicer. But anyway, what about you guys? Where are y'all's flag plants at?
Go ahead, Blake. Try not to choose someone chalk.
No, he should be in everybody's lineups. Rome Odunze this week, right?
That's chalk.
I know it's chalk. I don't care.
30% owned.
You have to play. No, yeah, in small field he's 30% on. You have to play.
You don't have to play Rome Odunze. You can just as easily play DJ Moore.
I'd say in like the sub 1K entry GPPs, he's probably going to be like 50%.
He's the highest owned receiver.
Yeah,
Blake at every position has flag planted the highest owned guy.
Blake's playing a cash lineup this week.
Yes,
I mean,
yeah. You said Ken Walker. You said Rome Odunze, and
I did not say Ken Walker. First of all,
Marcus Mariota.
It would have been Ken Walker, but he couldn't pick him because he was like 40%. So
yeah. But I mean, you have to play Rome this week, dude. You have to. The price is too good. The environment's too good. You have to play him.
I love the environment. I think I would probably try to get leverage off of that and go DJ Moore. And but I don't think I don't know that he's going to sink you if you play him. But when that cards flip over and you see 50% owned, it's not going to feel good.
It's not going to feel good. Like, we got to give the people edge. We're the Signal Callers.
You can't
give me another guy. Give me another guy. God damn it!
This is a Signal.
Give me another receiver.
Another guy. I mean, Kevin said Olave, but let's see. Another guy I really like, and I really like Ted this week. Really like Ted. Ted and London, I think, are a good, game stack.
I was gonna say, I was like, Blake not going with this guy London. He is quietly gonna go under own this week. And
there's so many great plays.
Yeah.
And he was I think he got hurt last week or something like that.
He got hurt at the end of week 1. And then last week they just didn't have to do anything because Bijan was going nuts, dude. Like, I mean, they gave him the ball and it was 10 yards every time Bijan touched the ball. So Penix just didn't. And
it was the Minnesota defense, man. I mean, they pick and choose. They're good.
True. What about you, Trey?
Well, there's two guys at this position that I'm not putting on another slip the rest of the year. Marvin Harrison and AJ Brown is on.
Agreed with MHJ.
AJ Brown is like on thin ice for me right now. He broke all of my lineups last week because I thought like the monstrous comeback is coming, and the Eagles just want to push their way to every win and don't want to pass the ball.
I blame Jalen Hurts. To be fair, I'm not
pissing me off, dude.
I'm blaming Jalen Hurts. His ADOT's like 4.
At some point, I think that they're doing it just to spite everybody. At this point,
yeah,
they're doing it.
It's just annoying.
Because they can.
Yeah, because they're winning. Like,
right?
They keep winning, so who cares?
Yep.
Gosh, I'd love so many. I could give one at every tier of salary. Let me do that. I got at the top end.
No, you gotta say one.
You have said a chalk. Shut up, Blake. I'm not listening to you. You said a chalk person every position. Top end of the salary, it's Jefferson for me. I think this is a prime opportunity for him to just bounce back and have a monster game. Mid tier, mid-tier, Blake took one of them at Ted. I'll say mid-tier, QJ, Quentin Johnson.
Interesting.
And then low, I think it's between those guys. Ayu Manor, Kevin kind of took. Here's a guy we haven't touched on. I do think Dobbs and Wicks are interesting, but I think Josh Downs is a guy we haven't talked about. Again, I like that game environment. We talked for low tier, yeah. Unless you're going down to that 3,700, those three guys, he's a guy. We talked about Michael Pittman. I think Josh Downs is getting healthier, and he always has spike weeks. And so I think he could be an interesting at 1% ownership.
Okay, there it is. Your wide receiver breakdown. All right, let's move on to tight ends. Kind of keep this short and sweet.
I don't think there's too much to talk about tight ends.
Yeah, I don't know that there is. There's a handful of guys, maybe. I mean, the two that are standing out to me are Warren and Johnson, Jawan Johnson. What about you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's only, honestly, 6 tight ends that you would actually play out of the whole pool on this one, right? Because everybody's so condensed in price. you can actually like 6,000 Bowers doesn't feel terrible. Trey McBride for 5,700 doesn't feel terrible, but I could just go all the way to a flag plant here. My two choices are between Juwan Johnson and Jake Ferguson on this on all these lineups, and I'm going with Jake. Just because the game environment, and it's also some leverage off CD and Pickens.
Yeah, I got 9 guys in my pool at the position. So I've wheedled it. No, not flag plants, but guys in the player pool at the position.
It's just so funny. Y'all two have been completely opposite all show. Blake's like, nah, keeping it 1 to 2 guys. Blake's like, I actually like this whole slate.
Yeah. So again, there's a reason why I'm green in this.
Oh my gosh, you haven't big 10K yet.
Go Trey, my bad. Go Trey.
Again, so we can't skip this position. We talk about combinatorial ownership. Brock Bowers and Trey McBride are finally on the same slate. The guy who plays Brock Bowers is probably highly unlikely to have the other one too. So I think an interesting way to play this slate, again, whether you got to choose where you're spinning up and getting these elites,
and you're spinning it on back tight end.
You do it at running back. You could do it at wide receiver. I think an interesting way, Blake, edge to play this slate is to have both of them, because that's going to be highly a low-owned combo, right? So we talked about low-owned combos at every position. You want to do elite running back. I think it's possible here as well.
We have seen 2 tight end. I mean, last week double tight end builds were shipping tournaments, so
it's optimal. It's hitting the sims. $12,000 for both of them.
I don't
know, like $6,000. It's like 100. You get Javonte Williams,
but these guys are not typical tight ends. Like, it's like playing a $6,000 receiver and a $5,700 receiver.
Why not, if you're going to do this, why not go Jake Ferguson and Juwan Johnson, right? 2 guys who are still getting 8-10 targets for half the price.
Because they're chalk. They're going to be chalk.
You got 14 and 11%.
I do again, I have 9 guys in my player pool of the position, and they're in there. I like Juwan Johnson. I love Jake Ferguson. But yeah, I just wanted to comment about the top end. My flag plant at the is Kyle Pitts.
Ooh,
like this week. He showed me something in that last game. He was getting peppered with some targets. I think this is the Kyle Pitts week.
Yeah, I like it. And I definitely you're breaking Blake's brain with these combinational ownership thoughts, because
Kyle Pitts same price as Juwan, half the ownership.
Right. I'm just saying,
I don't hate Kyle Pitts is in the list of viable tight ends this week, right? I don't hate that one, but you can't tell me you're doing all this just for you're not even looking at projection when you're talking about double Bowers and McBride.
What do you mean? How am I not looking at projection? I'm saying that again, we're giving the people edge. This is an interesting way to play the slate. Like, if you're going to jam 2 guys at either position, you can do it at tight end too, because it'll be different. I probably won't. I might play one lineup with both of them just to see, but I need Brock Bowers to be a little healthy. I think he's on one leg right now, but if he was healthy, I think it's an interesting way to play the slate.
Yeah. I like Pitts this week a lot. I think I'd still lean Juwan just in that scenario, just because it seems like he's just Rattler's guy. He not only got a ton of targets, he got a lot of early targets last game. I just think that he's, in this Kellen Moore system, the Juwan's really been able to take a step forward, and hopefully he can stop cement handing some of these passes and catch a touchdown or 2 at some point. But I like Johnson here. The other one I want to touch on is Tyler Warren. Just insane volume. Last week 1 he had 73% of the snaps, and then last week he was 93%. So 16 targets through 2 weeks. He still hasn't scored a touchdown. I feel like once he does, he could potentially go just nuke on a week. He's still not being priced up there with a Bowers or a McBride, right? He's still $1,300 cheaper than McBride, and $1,600 cheaper than Bowers. So, and he carries a little bit more ownership than Bowers, but for the price difference, I feel like you're not taking that much of a step down. So my flag plan will probably be Warren. Just we've touched on that game environment already. Think it could be a fun one. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Warren here.
Yeah. just real quick. So McBride is 18%, Warren's 15%, Ferguson's 14%, Jawan's going to come out at around 10%. Bowers is at 6%. I don't know that we'll maybe ever get a chance where Bowers is like that low owned at the position. So I do think he's interesting. The other name I want to point out here is Jonnu Smith. He would have been after, because I love Warren too, but he's a little chalky.
Mm-hmm.
I love the price though. He's just great value. I love that game environment. We talked about it. But Jonnu, quietly, again, like, he's had 10 targets through 2 games. I think, a touchdown's coming. So he's an honorable mention for me.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just running through the list, right? McBride, Bowers, Warren, Ferguson, Johnson, Pitts, Henry, maybe
Henry.
Jonnu / Freiermuth, right? You can pick one of those. Like, those are the only tight ends I would even look at for this week. Yeah, I guess Strange too, potentially, but I think
disrespect to my boy Fannin.
Yeah. No Fannin this week. I mean, you could play him. His price is what, 36? But I do want to throw one name out there that we haven't mentioned. Probably not going to mention too much. You got Luke Musgrave at 2,700 if you're looking for just a complete punt, right?
Especially if Kraft. He'll probably get steamed if Kraft is ruled out. But yeah, right now he's looking good.
Yeah, well, I think it's pretty known Kraft is out, or at least, like I said, the ETR guys felt strong enough to pull him out the pool, so I feel like that would be pretty known. But yeah, if you're looking at just a complete punt, but I still think I think Jake Ferguson and Juwan Johnson, all those guys mentioned earlier, can actually hurt you this week if you're just trying to punt a tight end. So
sweet. Any defensive thoughts?
I think they have some good ones that you could punt on this week, just because all the backup quarterbacks, right? I think just pick your favorite one that you hate and go against it. So I like the Bengals, for example.
Yeah. The pay up spots, obviously, Packers. I don't know. Again, if I'm trying to go crazy with these elite running backs, I don't think I'm gonna be able to pay up at defense. I like the Bengals too. Where are the Texans at under here?
Yeah, I think everybody's just going to be punting because they're going to be trying to slam all those superstars in your lineup, right?
Texans are interesting, $300 more than the Bengals. Yeah, I mean, I don't really. It's so tough with defense too, right? Because the whole slate can swing on whether or not one of these gets a touchdown in one way or another. So
yeah,
that's why I just try to punt typically on this.
Yeah,
I do too. Those lower defenses make a lot work. I know a flag planted a lot of Rams, but I really like the Saquon Eagles stack defense stack this week. I think the Eagles
they can get
at
there.
home could control this game. Right? Yeah, I don't typically like to advocate for playing like my offensive weapons against the defense, but this is a case where I think it could work. The Eagles could get a turnover, and obviously with Saquon, I like to boost my defense when I have like a flag plant, stud running back like that. I think the Eagles are interesting at home. And Devontae or Puka could still get there. So
yeah, that's PPR, right? So they can get their 10 catches and be fine.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Any other thoughts before we close this one out on anything that we've either haven't touched on or want to revisit?
Yeah. I want to go back to the original question, right, that I said at the beginning. So now that we kind of talked through the slate, how are you feeling? 3 running back or 4 wide receiver?
I'm still leaning 3 running back. I haven't really even played around. I haven't opened up the optimizer to kind of start plugging guys in, messing with the player pool or anything. I know Trey has done a lot more of that than I have at this point. So
I guess let me change a little bit because I think you can. Where are you spending money is probably the better question, right?
To me, it feels like the money has been better spent at running back this year so far. I know we're coming off of a week where multiple guys hit at receiver, but like you haven't really gone wrong if you go on JT. I know week 1 kind of sucked with Daniel Jones vulturing 2 touchdowns, but look what happened last week. Bijan's obviously a cheat code at this point. He still feels like he hasn't even broken out yet. But he's like looked incredible. And we know Barkley can do it. We watched him do it all last year. So yeah, I feel better about spending up on running back, because also we kind of touched on it too. These high price receivers, other than like Puka, they have a lot of question marks around their quarterbacks mainly. So like now we talk about how like playing into uncomfortable situations, maybe that's how you got to play it. Maybe a lot of other people are thinking the same way, right? So, but for me right now, I think I'm going to try to jam as many of those elite running backs in and figure it out.
Yeah, I ended up like I love the 3-headed monster running back approach as a way to attack this slate. I think the majority of my lineups, to your point, Blake, to your question, I think 60% of my lineups are probably going to have the 4 wide receiver build. I'll say 30% of my lineups will have the 3 spend up at running back that I'll want to play with, and maybe 10% of my lineups. I really like double tight end this week, like whether it's Warren and Jawan or Pitts and McBride, or even Bowers and McBride. Like that's been fun in some of my builds. Like, so I've been playing around a lot. I think it's kind of how I'll land: 60% on the 4 wide receiver side, 30% heavy at running back, and then 10% playing with double tight end.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate to. If you're looking for a punt right at 4,000 range, I think it's probably fine to go there, because you got Juwan, who's getting 10 targets a game. Jake Ferguson's getting targeted in the red zone a ton. He had 12 targets last week and did pretty well, right? I think double tight end is fine. I just don't agree with the double super tight end, right? McBride, Bowers. But yeah, it's just I think I'm going to just lean into a lot of chalk this week and see how unique the lineup, like you're talking about, and the full combination of it is. I think I'm paying up at running back as well, but it's mainly just the higher end chalk running backs.
All right, man. Well, I think we have about covered everything. I hope so. I think we'll probably wrap it up right now. Hope to keep the train rolling. Maybe Trey had a good week 1. Blake had a good week 2. Probably going to be one of them over me this week, just because that's how it goes. But yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm always it's always fun to dive into a new week and see how it goes. So
I actually am really excited for the showdown primetime games this week too. I don't know if we'll be able to preview those, but Kansas City and the Giants, and then Detroit and Baltimore will be interesting showdown slates. So
for sure.
Detroit, Baltimore should be a fun game.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Well, we'll see you guys in the lobbies, and like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see y'all next week, hopefully with some good recaps.
Everybody.
Peace.
Yep. Peace.